Shalom from Jerusalem, and our weekly Parsha, Lech Lecha, go to yourself, telling us about a commandment of Avraham Avinu received from God. Go to yourself, right? Go to the land that I'm going to show you. Avraham comes to the land of Canaan. There is a famine in the land. He can't stay in the land. He goes to Egypt, comes with a great wealth out of Egypt. Then there is a conflict with Lot. Lot separates, and afterwards captured. Avraham goes to the war, and after that there is a covenant between the parts. God promises the land to Avraham. Now, then Ishmael is born, Agar is out, Agar is in, and finally there is a brit in the end of the Parsha. My colleague Michael Gittik says, if you think you understand what's going on in the Parsha, anywhere in the text, any sentence, he said, if you think you understand even the plain meaning of it, it means you haven't touched the text yet, right? No. So why did I mention all those things that happen in the Parsha? You can read them yourself. There's one little strange thing. What's a little strange thing? That after Avraham comes from the war, he's victorious, and it says that God takes Avraham out of the stars, and he says that your children are going to be as stars of the heaven, and Avraham, who is a prophet, already believes God. Now afterwards, he says immediately afterwards, right? He says that, how do I know that my children will inherit the land? And then this whole covenant between the parts starts. Like, I don't understand. It's like, God just promised you. You just believed it. God says, you're a righteous person. Why immediately after that you are asking, how do I know? An incredible thing. What our sages tell us, if you'll calculate the time, you'll find out that in this covenant between the parts, God says there are going to be exiles. There are going to be many exiles, right? And there's something dark that comes upon Avraham. It's all the exiles he's witnessing. And your children is not going to be in the land for 400 years. So our sage says, when did the 400 years start? And they calculate that the 400 years starts with the birth of Yitzchak, right? It's your children, not in your land. Yitzchak is 60 years old when he gives birth to Yaakov. Yaakov is 130 years old when he goes to Egypt. 210 years of Jews in Egypt, that's 400 years. But somewhere in the Torah, as a place, it says that the actual exile was 430 years. So the rabbis ask the question, when did the 430 years start? And they say that's from the brit between the parts. Okay, so now Abraham was 100 years old when Yitzchak was born. 30 years before that, Abraham is 70. Oops. What's oops? Lech Lecha starts with 75. So the brit between the parts was before the Lech Lecha. And that's what the sages actually tell us, that Abraham came to the land, and what's happening here is happening way before Lech Lecha. Then they calculated when Lot separated and lived in Sodom, and the war happened, and it's also happened before Lech Lecha. So what does we learn from here? Abraham was in the land a number of times. He couldn't stay there. So finally God says, now it's a time. Now I'm going to give you the land. Now go. He goes, and what it is? It's famine. Once again he can't stand in the land, right? It's very difficult to conquer the Eretz Israel. But on another hand, what happened? It says when Abraham comes and God tells him, come to Eretz Israel, now is the time. The Canaanites come and they conquer the land in the same time. Now, to understand what's happening here, we have to go back one parsha before, the totally bizarre incident where Noah gets drunk, and it says that his son Ham saw that he is naked, saw his nakedness, and told the brothers, and the result, the Canaan, which was the actually son of Ham, gets cursed. And of course there's many questions. Well, what the heck is going on, and what one Canaan gets cursed? So the sages tell us Canaan was the first who saw Noah drunk and tell his father, so he was kind of a snake that initiated the whole thing. Now, there's another thing. What does it mean, he saw his father nakedness? Somewhere else in Torah, in the Leviticus, we see that don't uncover your father's nakedness or your mother's nakedness. It's a euphemism for having inappropriate sexual relationship with somebody close. So the sages tell that actually Ham raped his father, and some say castrated his father as well. Now, why did he do it? And Rashi, commentary, brings an incredible thing. He says to his brothers, he says, Adam has 2 sons, and they already had war over the land. Now, Noah has 3 sons, and he wants to have another son, number 4, forget about it, right? So, that was the reason. And why did Noah wanted another son, number 4? The Rashi, again, brings the Midrash, it said, because Noah said, I want the son to serve me. Okay. Listen, Noah lived 350 years afterwards. He could have had not 1 son, he could have had many, many sons, number 1, right? Grandsons, So, of course, service means spiritual service. Now, let's think about it. Who can think about, like, 2 things, son number 4, and serve me. Son of the old age will serve me. That's spiritual service. Immediately, when we think about son of old age will serve me, we think about Yaakov and who was the son? Yosef. Remember what happened? The brothers, hatred. That's number 1. Number 2 is, who was the son number 4? The son number 4 was, again, in a Jewish family, was Yehuda, was a king. And that's what the sages tell us, that the son number 4 had to have, would possess the qualities of Yehuda, right, and the qualities of Yosef. What it is? It's Mashiach. So the whole attempt of the drinking, balancing the spiritual forces, was an attempt to bring Mashiach. Ham said, I don't want anything that. I want the land be possessed by who? My son number 4. And who is son number 4? Is Canaan. Now, what is this land that they want to possess? Of course, the land of Canaan. So why is Torah called Eretz Israel the land of Canaan? It means there has some connection. Yeah? Now, the land has incredible properties of either elevating the person. Canaan means to subjugate. So either you subjugate it to ego, you're going to subjugate to God. That's what the land has. It's either what brings you completely down, or it's going to bring completely up. So now we begin to understand that on one hand we have Canaanites coming to the land, conquering it and bringing it way down, and then on the other hand we have spiritual quest of Abraham, who is coming and right now taking spiritual possession to give it to the children. Now, this particular fight, this particular war is still continuing today. It says that Ishmael was 13 when he circumcised. He got 1,000 years in Eretz Israel, for every year of circumcision, 1,300 years. They came, Arabs came here in 7th century, 20th century, that's it, the rule is finished. Now, the war is between Canaanite within us and the, of course, Jew within us. The Canaanite within us is the most despicable part. That's a real difference between secular Zionism, who said we should be nation like everybody else, and Ben-Gurion says specifically that, I want a nation where Jewish policemen running after a Jewish prostitute, he can rest in peace right now, there is so many of this here. And another way is, no, we're here not to create the country like everybody else. We're here to be the moral and spiritual ettalon, the light into the nation, if you wish, right? Within ourselves, each of us, within this land. That's what this really war is about. And I just want to wish everybody that, we will go the way of Abraham, we'll go inside ourselves. And not only we're going to go inside ourselves, but we will, as Abraham, teach this knowledge to other people. I want to bless you with success in both of those endeavors. From Jerusalem, Shalom, Shalom.